You are listening to Keep Canada Weird, a weekly weird news roundup by the Nighttime Podcast.
Handsome Air and Airport, 159 episodes of Keeping Canada Weird together. Fist bump. How you doing over there, buddy?
Good, man. Good. I'm hanging in there. The weather's trying to get nice, but I don't know if it's really succeeding yet.
It's definitely trying. It's felt a bit like a spring day here in Halifax, so hopefully you got the same kind of thing down there. But we don't need to talk about weather. Something important's going to happen now. You told me just before I hit go, I actually have a special drink tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to invite you to blow my damn mind with what you got in a cup.
Okay. I have a Cove Soda.
Ooh.
Ginger ale.
Ooh, Cove is, I think, a local company, right?
Yeah, it's a Nova Scotia soda, and they have all different types, grape and different flavors, orange, and this is ginger ale. It is sugar-free, and according to their website, all of their sodas are caffeine-free as well.
Interesting.
Dying to try it, but I had to research the caffeine content first before I could commit to trying it.
Okay.
So here we go. I'm going to crack it open. Oh, it's different.
Different in a good way, like something new and exciting, or different like...
Yeah, it is. It is exciting, actually.
Okay, good. I noticed you were calling it soda. Is that in response to listener mail? We had a few weeks back saying we could class it up a bit by calling it soda instead of trashy pop.
No, I'm calling it soda because literally on the can, it's called Cove Soda.
Okay. Lately, my special drink has been tea. That's what I got tonight. Let me just take a sip just to make you happy.
Yeah, and let us know how it is. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Got the balance right. And by the balance, I mean the appropriate amount of sweetener versus milk in there. It's a delicate balancing act, but when you get it right, oh, man, it's worth it. So enough about special drinks, enough about weather. We have a mission here, and we have a mandate to keep Canada weird by seeking out and highlighting all the unique and offbeat news stories from the past week. And tonight we have a smorgasbord of weird Canadian news. But as we always do, let's start with the Keep Canada Weird correspondents weighing in on some past stories. For many weeks, we have been talking about the string of butter thefts that is plaguing this great nation. You and I have both just been scratching our heads. Who's doing this? Why are they doing this? What are they using the butter for? What does it all mean? Last week specifically, you called out to listeners to please explain to you why these people are taking this butter. Well, we have two separate listeners weighing in with matching theories, so maybe we will solve this tonight. First, let's go right down to your neck of the woods. We have a listener named Lauren in Cape Breton who has an interesting theory on the butter and ghee thefts. Listen to this.
Hi, Jordan and Aaron. It's Lauren from Sydney, Nova Scotia. And I'm just listening to the most recent episode. We're talking about the butter thieves again. And I've had a theory for a little while that I wanted to share with you. My thought is with the age of the individuals involved and what they're stealing, butter and ghee, so random. My theory is that they have a edible business. And that's why they need so much butter and ghee, because how it works, I've tried to make brownies before. So you infuse the cannabis in the butter or ghee, or whatever you're infusing it in, and then it binds to the fat molecules in there, and then you can make edibles with it. So that's my theory on why they're stealing so much butter and ghee, is because they have an edibles business.
Compelling.
It's probably the best theory that we've heard so far. I don't even know if we've heard any other legitimate theories yet about why the butter is being stolen. So this right now is at the top of our theory list of plausible reasons.
Yeah, I think the main theories we've been hearing relate to bakeries and restaurants that would use a lot of butter, but it is unusual that you'd have that a restaurant or bakery would have a bunch of like 20, 30 somethings running around to grocery stores, just running out of the stores with shopping carts full of butter. It strikes me as almost like an organized crime sort of thing. So yeah, like making edibles out of cannabis and using the butter within that would kind of make sense. That's not the only person who presented that theory, though.
Hey guys, this is Henry from Richmond, Virginia. Listening to your podcast about the butter heists, and I'm postulating whether or not that could be related to batching can of butter and turning said can of butter into edibles. I'm not sure what else you could do with butter that could be borderline nefarious, greasing the roadways or, I don't know, setting people up for a slip, but who knows? Might be some can of butter making its way into some weed cookies or something like that. Tell me what you think.
I think he's onto something. I had never heard of can of butter, but it's basically, as Lauren kind of described the process, it involves like infusing butter with cannabis so that the active ingredient that gets you stoned from the cannabis gets in the butter, and then you can cook with it and bake with it. I'm kind of intrigued. I love the idea of like, rather than smoking like a big stinky joint, imagine just making like some toast.
Yeah, a
sitting
friend of
down.
mine who I used to hang out with would do that, would make toast with weed butter, and that was how they relaxed on a Friday night. But
Wow. Get crazy with some toast. I had never heard of that before. Can of butter.
yeah,
Interesting.
I've never heard it called can of butter, but I have heard about weed infused butter. But I think we're getting closer here. I don't think we're quite nailing it on the head in terms of having it locked down as to why this is happening, but I think we're in the right direction. We've had some really excellent work from some quality correspondents who are piecing the puzzle together, and I'm looking forward to getting to the bottom of this.
We have another update to past stories, but I have a little personal story that I can share that will kind of bridge the butter with the update we're going to hear. You remember in Henry's voicemail, he said, like, I can't think of anything else nefarious. Maybe you could put it on the roads and, make people slip.
Yeah.
Well, I live in Halifax. There's a lot of hills in downtown Halifax. Like, if, walking around downtown Halifax can be a chore because you're forever walking up very steep hills. But anyway, I was downtown one day and there was like a garbage collection truck driving around picking up the garbage from a lot of restaurants, of course, in downtown Halifax. And I watched the garbage truck driving up a hill, and this is kind of gross, but all this kind of like liquidy crud just started pouring out of the back of the garbage truck because of the angle it was at going up the hill. So anyway, what ended up happening is this garbage truck just left like a river of oil on this steep hill, and I watched the cars behind the garbage truck. It was like they were on ice. Their wheels are spinning and they're all like, all the cars are kind of getting stuck and people are getting out and stuff. And they ended up having to block the street because there was so much grease and oil from this garbage truck. And I just happened to be like, first on the scene to watch it all happen.
Did you collect a sample?
No, but it was disgusting.
You should have got a sample and brought it to a lab to see
if it was greasy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess that could be interesting. I just thought it was interesting because it involved greasy, oily, buttery stuff making roads slippery, as Henry said, and it involved tires like the next update we're going to share. Last week, we talked about the tire madness that was playing out in the Toronto neighborhood in Scarborough. The landlord, who tenants referred to as a slum, told reporters he was just trying to help his family by storing hundreds of tires in his rental property's backyard. But the excuse did not sway city officials. They had given him just a matter of days to get those tires out of the backyard before they sent their own team at his expense to remove them. You and I speculated last week that this guy was not going to do anything and this story was not going to go away. Well, we were right. We're half right. He did start to take away the tires, but the story didn't go away.
Well, yeah, I'll take half right anytime because we're generally fully wrong. Yeah, most of the time.
Here's the latest update with the tire craziness in Scarborough. Here it comes.
Tracy, that U-Haul truck behind me is filling up with tires that are being removed from the backyard of that home, finally. Why do you think he finally took them away?
I think your report put an enormous pressure on him.
Our story a week ago about a Scarborough homeowner storing about 800 used tires in his backyard, something those renting the house didn't like.
We can't use the backyard, we can't come out here, we can't do anything.
And several neighbors expressed concern about.
fair request to make sure that our neighborhood is not turned into a city dump.
An April 1st city order compelled Zaid Hossein to remove the tires. At the time, he didn't. You've been ordered to take the tires out.
Yeah, like a temporary, I'm just helping my family, okay?
A couple of days after the city posted a notice that they would in fact come and clean up these tires at the owner's expense, the owner decided to remove them himself. He brought this rental truck and 3 workers to load them. The City of Toronto warned they'd charge him more than $2,500 to do it and tack it onto his tax bill. After we showed up, those workers disappeared. A week ago, Hossein wasn't specific about when the tires would be removed. Taking them out?
Yeah.
When?
Very soon.
About half the tires were gone or on the truck by the time we arrived. The attention led to action, says Syed Joffrey, one of the first to complain about the tires.
The main catalyst was your video presentation that you made, which went Canada-wide. So people were telling me he was having difficulty walking in his own neighborhood. Now everybody knows Mr. Zaid Hussain, who's dumping things,
Again, those tire removal workers took off a few hours ago after we arrived. Their truck remains. A city inspector was here just about an hour ago, spoke to him. He checked out the backyard. There are still some tires remaining. So if those workers don't come back and finish the job tonight, the city's contractor will be here tomorrow to do the job at the owner's expense. Either way, those tires are going to be gone here very soon.
I'm almost surprised that he even has a majority of the tires removed from the yard. I thought the update was going to be he didn't do anything and the city's here and they're putting a lien against his property or something like that. He at least has a U-Haul that was absolutely jammed with tires. They're probably going to take 2 trips, these poor 3 guys he hired to move hundreds of tires. That's a hard day's work.
Yeah, and the way they had them stacked in the van was interesting. Did you see like the design of how it was really like a game of Tetris that they were doing inside, trying to get as many tires packed into the van as humanly possible. So the way they had them stacked, they were almost like on diagonals.
Yeah, it almost looked like it was braided or something. It looked like you braided a bunch of tires. They didn't put them one on top of the other. They had them kind of, like at angles, so they were all fitting together perfect. But there are so many tires, and there's only so much space inside a U-Haul truck that
they had to figure out a way to do it. Somebody knew what they were doing. So somebody who brought that truck is like, I've done this before, and I know how to stack these tires.
These 3 guys have probably been moving tires for this guy all year. Like, how do you end up with hundreds of tires in the backyard of your rental property? I don't believe this is the only spot he has tires, but he has these guys trained that they know how to move tires. But my favorite part of the update, and especially my favorite part of the news report, was one of the tenants who was talking, who was very eloquent, described the landlord as the catalyst of this was your piece. It went nationwide. People all over the country saw this, and the landlord can't even walk in his own neighborhood anymore because everybody knows like what he did. I wonder if that part's true. Like, are people just like, is he being canceled?
I don't know. I'm sure he's somewhat famous now in his neighborhood, but I mean, I'm disappointed we didn't get any credit on this news report.
Seriously, eh?
We took a big spotlight to this story. We spent time on it, and there's a lot of people who knew about these tires from us, and we didn't get any credit in.
Yeah, we did help put a lot of pressure on this guy.
Yeah.
And I think a few of those tires were moved
I think
because
so.
of us.
And I want a new video publication done from this news organization to credit us for our work.
Or they put the tires back.
Or they put the tires back. Or we feature them in a negative light on the next episode of Entirely Tires.
Well, speaking of shaming businesses, whether it's this landlord or the news organization that didn't give us credit on air in their news clip, speaking of shaming businesses, in our next piece, I don't know if this has ever happened before, with the exception of maybe Tim Hortons. I don't think we've ever had a duo of weird news stories in 1 week related to a specific Canadian business. After our first break, which will be coming in a moment, when we come back, we have 2 stories related to Rona. You know Rona, right? You have one in Cape
Yeah,
Breton?
yeah. There's a Rona just up the street from me, and they're a hardware store.
For people in the US who are listening, think of Rona as like a Home Depot, Home Hardware kind of place. But anyway, long story short, when we get back from this break, we have two weird news stories set in Rona of all places.
We've never talked about Rona on this show ever, so stay tuned for this.
Shareholders, sell off your Rona stock because we're going to get to them shortly. Aaron, we got a duo of stories set in Rona, the American-owned Canadian hardware store. Do you want to start with bad business practices on behalf of Rona, or do you want to start with an advertising misstep on behalf of Rona? Because they did both last week.
I want to start with the advertising misstep because it's a doozy.
This may already, we're coming out strong. This could be the weird news story of the week. You've probably heard of David versus Goliath. But have you ever heard of Hardware Giant versus Donkey Rescue Sanctuary?
I think I read about it in the Bible.
We have a more recent version of it coming up here. Rona's new ad campaign is drawing heat for using a donkey literally cut in half to joke about half-assed construction work. But the Donkey Sanctuary of Canada, they are not laughing, as they claim the ad only further promotes the untrue stereotypes that donkeys face every day. Here's the story about how Rona is demeaning donkeys.
Whoa, who half-assed this framing?
A cheeky ad campaign from Rona features a handful of contractors complaining about construction projects where corners have been cut.
No one likes a half-ass.
All of it emphasized by a donkey missing its back half as it wanders about, overhearing people complain about so-called half-assery.
Actually quite stunned and horrified, like I couldn't believe my eyes what I was seeing.
The commercial has the Donkey Sanctuary of Canada going on the defensive. Janine Holman is the Puss Lynch organization's executive director and says it is demeaning to donkeys.
I actually felt physically ill. It really left me with a very negative and empty, just a very bad feeling.
Part of the reason, the physical characteristics depicted.
Basically, they've taken the donkey and created a disabled creature out of it.
The idea of the ad is that Rona will then help make it right, but the sanctuary feels Rona is in the wrong, especially because many donkeys that come into their care have suffered.
And it's a result of neglect, where a farmer has acquired a donkey to be a guardian for sheep or cattle, horses, and the donkey is not being a good guardian.
She says the stereotypes portrayed are also false.
Donkeys are hardworking animals. Donkeys around the world are in for example, third world countries, working in the kilns, brickworks, collecting garbage in cities. They're smarter than horses. Where we deem them as being stubborn or stupid, that's really not the case. And
CTV News reached out to Rona as well as the agency behind the campaign, but we did not hear back in time for air. As for the Donkey Sanctuary, they understand there may not have been malicious intent and are trying to shift the focus to education, all while reminding people that when it comes to pinning blame for poor home improvement projects, just don't pin the blame on the donkeys.
Oh, man. I know there's like a lot of talk about kind of the sensitivities that are out there in this day and age, but and I rarely like agree or even comment on it, but this, I don't know. I think this is a step too far. I feel like this ad, if it offended anyone, like it didn't offend any donkeys, I know that. And if it offended anyone, it's maybe the 2 or 3 people who run the Donkey Sanctuary of Canada.
Yeah.
How did this get on the news?
That was my first question I was going to throw out, is why are they covering this? Why was this even brought up? Like, I understand the woman at the Donkey Sanctuary, she had a problem with it, but why create a story out of this? It's a CGI donkey. It's not like they cut a donkey in half, a live donkey like a magician, and said don't half-ass your construction projects. Like, this is just a fictional CGI donkey just wandering around.
there's nothing you can do and put on TV that won't insult or bother one person. But for some reason, this story, that one person managed to get their feelings spotlit on the news. They attribute it to the Canadian Donkey Sanctuary, but I do feel like it is just this one woman who appears in the piece that is offended. But they say that the Canadian Donkey Association doesn't believe there was harmful intent within the ad, and they're hoping to use it for education instead. But they didn't really educate us in that news piece, because like the only thing they really said is that donkeys aren't that dumb. They haul bricks and collect garbage, and they're smarter than horses. And she almost seemed like that was like
she took a stab at horses here, and she's dragging horses into this debate, which I think is completely unnecessary. It's apples and oranges to me. You know, why would you compare the donkey to the horse? The horse is minding his own business over there, running majestically in fields, and cowboys are looking sexy on top of them, and they're just doing horse stuff, horse stuff.
But I'm also thinking that this ad by Rona doesn't even really insult donkeys. They're just making a riff on the saying half-assed. So her issue comes with the saying half-assing something. Thus, she has a problem with shoddy workmanship being referred to as half-assing. So I think she has a bigger battle on her hands than just this Rona ad, because all around the world, when something is done wrong, if you speak the English language, you probably know what someone means when they say it's half-assed job.
I mean, what do you think, if this controversy wasn't occurring, how would you feel about this ad if you saw it? Would you have any opinions on it outside of the donkey sanctuary? And no?
I would never have thought that this is, if you're offended by this ad, then you're also offended by when someone says that's a half-assed job. You'd be like, whoa, don't you know how smart donkeys are compared to horses, you prick?
Whoa.
So I'm just pretending like I have a horse in the race.
Oh.
What do you mean horse in the race?
You prick? Yeah, the Donkey Sanctuary of Canada must be a really powerful lobby group, similar to Big Tobacco or Big Oil. Big Donkey is really proving themselves to be a powerful player on the political scene, as they are getting a large hardware company and bending them to their knees over this half of a donkey situation.
Well, I guess let's just end it with this, and we'll move on to the next Rona-related story. In this case, I don't feel that Rona did anything wrong. Not a great ad or anything, but I don't find it offensive.
Yeah, if I had to pick, I guess they're forcing us to pick between donkeys and Rona, is what's happening. Do you feel that pressure?
Yeah, and I don't even like Rona. But if this is the case that the Donkey Sanctuary is making, I'm picking Rona.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed donkeys. I find them delightful. I find them cute, and I've always respected their work ethic. But unfortunately, in this case, I have to side with Rona as well. And yeah, I guess I'll have to go to Rona now for all of my donkey-related needs.
Let's move on to the next Rona-related story. This one is altogether different. It doesn't involve a marketing or advertising misstep. This more so pertains to their business practices. This is going to be one of those stories where a consumer complaint required a viral social media post and going on the news to get it corrected. It all involves a Calgary man's hunt for a new fridge that turned into, yes, going on the news and complaining about Rona. Listen to this one, and then we can choose sides here.
I've already chosen.
Living with 6 other adults, Marko Jovanovic was in need of another fridge. But as he unboxed his new purchase from a Calgary Rona store last month, he was surprised.
Put it here, took the cardboard off, and that's when I noticed it wasn't the same color. It was used. My friend opened it. He's like, oh man, it's even dirty.
Somehow, an old fridge made by a different company had made its way into the box. Inside, it was supposed to be a new Samsung appliance. When he tried to return back to the store,
they had another fridge for me, and then the manager was like, I can't authorize this. I was like, what do you mean I can't authorize it? He said, it's not a Samsung fridge. I said, I know.
He says it began a month-long runaround trying to get a refund while also dealing without a fridge.
I had about a day of no fridge, so I had to put things in a cooler and kind of just have it what could sit out while I'm waiting for this other fridge.
Experts say these unexpected switches do happen.
Many times there's still a lot of manual labor involved in warehouses, so those mistakes can happen, that they put the wrong label on the box and then everyone goes by a label.
Bifunk says that usually happens when companies offer refurbished products. Rona acknowledged the mix-up, saying these issues arise from time to time, and they were able to offer Jovanovic a refund and a gift card for his trouble.
They actually had a barbecue I wanted. They had all these items I actually wanted, but the issue is now because they wouldn't solve this fridge, I don't want to spend any of my money there.
Here's another example of like, how did this get on the news? I'm thinking about Rona's PR person. So rarely do you ever hear anything about Rona, but last week they have this donkey ad, then they got this guy in Calgary who got the wrong fridge, and somehow that ended up on the news. I'm shocked that wasn't an easy fix. You'd think if they sent you the wrong thing, you'd show up, but the manager's like, I'm not authorized to do it. It's not a Samsung. Like, it just seems like a bizarre situation all around.
It seems very weird. The gentleman that they interviewed, who was the customer, he's a great storyteller, that's for sure.
The victim, we call him. He is a great storyteller. I love him.
Yeah. He's a good mime too. He was kind of miming when the fridge showed up, and he's like, and then there's the box here, and I take the box off, and then I see it's a different color, and then I open it up and it's dirty. He was like, dude,
he had a crowd with him as he's unboxing the fridge.
Yeah. I thought I had to go a day without a fridge. Some stuff I kept out, some I couldn't. I put it in a cooler.
Which was contradictory, because they said, I think there's like 6 people in the house, so he wanted a second fridge. But then when the second fridge failed, all of a sudden he has no fridge. So that there was a bit of inconsistency within the story there. But regardless, I think I get how something like this could happen. Rona and these big companies probably ship and send and buy and sell so many fridges. Every so often something's going to go wrong. One that was meant to be returned ended up getting sent to a new customer or something. Like, so just some little mistake happened. But they should have been able to quickly and easily fix it. It shouldn't have been, I'm on the news telling this sob story about my crappy purchase. They ended up refunding him and giving him $200 that he seems like he's not even going to spend there. I'd at least spend the free $200.
Yeah, I don't believe him. I think he's lying that he's not going to spend the Rona gift card at Rona. I guess his other option would be to sell the gift card at a discounted price, but he's 100% going to go to Rona, and he's going to get $200 worth of garbage bags and then call it a day.
This kind of thing is going to happen at any big box store. If you buy, no matter what place you go to, if you buy 100 fridges, one is going to be this weird screwed up thing. Something's going to be, you plug it in, it just doesn't even work, or you get the wrong one, or it was damaged in shipping. Like, just crap happens. And it's up to the companies to be able to quickly and easily fix that as painlessly as possible. That's why I love Costco. I know you don't have it down where you are, but I find Costco is so easy to deal with.
You know what he could buy at Rona? He could get a really nice cooler for $200 probably. He should give up on fridges. He's like, I'm just a cooler guy now. So I have the cooler that I used in my fridge emergency, and then now I have this brand new $200 cooler that I bought from Rona with my gift card, and then now I've got 2 coolers. I don't need a fridge.
Let's go to our second and final ad break. When we get back, we have a chilling story concerning animal attacks, and we're going to hear from another eligible Keep Canada Romantic Bachelor. We'll get to that after this short break. Handsome Air and Airport, we've talked about the animal uprising as the sort of global phenomenon, but there seems to be an isolated version of it playing out in Waterloo. A group of Waterloo students have found themselves held hostage by a pair of furious geese who've claimed their front lawn as their own nesting territory. What started as a couple of curious birds has turned into daily chaos with croissants flying, dramatic escapes, and relentless attacks. Here's the story of the Canadian geese who are terrorizing Waterloo.
Close to a week now. We can't even leave our house. It's crazy. We never thought this would happen. Just thought they were two geese, and all of a sudden now the dad is angry. He's flying at everyone. Old people, kids, us. So our friends came over to hang out, and then the goose attacked. We're running up the stairs, and the croissants went flying, and then the geese started eating them. But yeah, we've also just been sitting at our window in our living room just watching these geese attack people all day long. Like this one girl fell into a bush, she was running, and then boom, the goose just nailed her in the head and she fell.
It's in the car! Oh my god!
It is pretty scary when they're just coming at you full force. And we've tried to call everywhere. We've called every single animal control there is. We've done it all, but they do not care. There's kids down our street, they're coming at them with water guns. They're still staying around, they don't care. He's still outside right now, just on our front lawn. Yeah, he won't leave. It's crazy.
Despite that it's a high traffic area, the experts say they are a protected animal and should be left alone.
Geese are protected by the Migratory Bird Act, so it is illegal for us to interfere with them in nesting season, and so we have to respect that. So that's the most we can do, and what we offer here at the Humane Society is we can post some signage in public areas.
Oh man, I would love to have that view outside of my living room window. Just like a group of geese attacking anyone who comes near. I would sit there all day with my camera.
Yeah. You could start a TikTok account and just have, geese attack videos. Yeah.
They have a TikTok account. That's how they ended up on the news probably. So many people sharing their videos of just regularly watching geese attack people.
And it's always fun to see when the authorities come on and just basically say, yeah, we're not going to do anything for you.
Yeah. Well, there's rules against it. You can, if these migratory birds decide to sit on your front lawn, you got to just give them their time to have their babies. And, they were here first. We came after them. So I think it's fair.
Yeah, but not those exact geese.
No, but their ancestors.
Yeah, I guess. But we're proving that we're not going to do anything about it. So we have this uprising that is occurring that we've been covering since day one of this show, that there is an animal uprising. And what the geese are contributing to the uprising is that they are showing that we are not going to fight back. We're not going to do anything. We're just going to run from them and pray that they don't hurt us. And this is a really bad look for the humans in the animal uprising story. It's just not good.
Yeah, I didn't really think of it that way. And also, I guess we can harken back to a prior story we covered tonight, is there's almost like a media propaganda kind of element to the animal uprising now as well, where you have advocates are almost threatening to cancel businesses who dare cross animals. Like, you want to mention donkeys in a negative light, we'll get your business shut down.
Yeah, and this geese situation is it's really highlighting the weaknesses of the humans. And I think after this, I really fear for our existence as a society, and I'm worried for the future.
Yeah, I'm worried for the future, but at the same time, I love the idea, and I can't help but thinking about how great of a day I would have visiting that house and watching people get dive bombed by these big geese.
Yeah, but then what are you going to do? You're stuck inside. You can't leave the house.
What would I need to leave the house for? If I wanted food, I'd get Uber Eats and I'd watch the delivery guy try to bring it up. I like that story. I think those geese should do their thing on that front lawn for as long as they need to. I feel for migratory birds. That's a lot of work. And then at the other hand, I was thinking about this recently, maybe a week or two ago. We had one of those late season snowstorms in Halifax. You had it down there in Cape Breton as well. But a lot of the migratory birds were just arriving back to Nova Scotia from winter in Florida. They're probably like, my old stomping grounds. I'm glad to be home. And then boom, the next day, snowstorm. That's after they've been flying for like 2 weeks or whatever it takes to fly from Florida to here. I felt bad for the migratory birds.
They need to check the weather forecast before they leave. I put all that blame on them. That's their problem. It's their poor planning. And I don't feel bad for them.
Well, speaking of feeling bad, speaking of feelings, there's a certain feeling here we've been celebrating on this show lately. That feeling is romance. We've done what we've had to do tonight to keep Canada weird. Now we're going to do what we have to do to keep Canada romantic. We've aired several dating profiles of eligible Keep Canada Weird correspondents that are looking for love. We have another one tonight. So far, we're shut out. We haven't been able to get anyone married yet. But let's see if tonight we have the magic potion of love. You ready for another one?
I'm very excited for the Keep Canada Romantic segment of the night.
Yeah, well, every bachelor we've profiled on the show has been very interesting. Like they've all had something unique about them. Tonight is no exception. Let's hear about Stephen from Kentville, Nova Scotia. And who knows, maybe Stephen's going to hear from someone out there after they hear about him. Here he comes, ladies.
This is a profile for dating. My name is Stephen. I live in Kentville, not too far away from you guys. And I'm a retired mental health therapist. I am now writing crime novels and poetry. And I'm looking for a Nova Scotian. I don't have a vehicle. Sorry, ladies. And I just want to find someone to share my life and explore Nova Scotia and maybe even Canada. And enjoy my poetry.
Okay.
No car. Is that a big deal breaker for a lot of women out there?
I don't think so. I mean, the man writes poetry and crime novels.
Yeah, what more do you want?
Yeah, the wheels of creativity are all you need, right?
His profile should lean more heavily on, I'm a damn writer. I write crime novels. I'm a mental health therapist expert. I write poetry, and you want a car?
He's an expert of the mind and of the heart, I would say.
Yeah.
And of crime and crime.
And ready to travel around. Like I can imagine a life shared with Stephen, seeing the different waterfalls of Nova Scotia.
And think of the poetry that Stephen will write about you, as you bathe in the waterfalls of Nova Scotia with Stephen. He'll be writing perhaps lustful, beautiful, angelic poetry about you.
Yeah, who knows what he would write.
I like to think he focuses on erotic poetry, but we don't know.
Is there any other type? I only read erotic poetry.
Erotic poetry is the only poetry that gets me out of bed in the morning. Yeah. If it's not erotic poetry, I'm not showing up.
Also, it has to rhyme. I can't get into poetry that doesn't have like a very big rhyme.
You're
like
one of those.
It needs
You're one
a
of
beat.
those people. Yeah, it's got to be roses are red, violets are blue. Poetry rhymes if it doesn't screw you. Is that your favorite kind of poems?
I'd like poetry that has a beat and it has a real good rhythm within the rhyme. Like Dr. Seuss is an example. Like Dr. Seuss books are like long poems and they're beautiful and they're not erotic.
Not really.
I'm trying to think. I've never been turned on reading them.
No, read them again now as a fully formed
hot-blooded male. Yeah.
yeah.
In all seriousness, Stephen's profile, I think, is great. There is someone out there for everyone. There's certainly someone out there for a crime writing poet from Kentville without a car.
We don't even have to mention the car thing. It's not worth mentioning.
It's irrelevant.
Just he's a poet. He's a crime writer. He's a man of the mind, and he's looking to explore the province with the love of his life, hand in hand, chasing waterfalls and carving erotic poetry into the annals of time. Two lovers born under the waterfalls, falling in love.
Before we wrap things up here, I just want to address something. I got a piece of, actually, I got two pieces of mail related to the way I pronounce a certain word, and it's kind of bothering me. I just want to air it, and you tell me if this person's just being mean or not. Here's something Eric says about me.
Hi, Jordan and Aaron. This is Eric from Eastern Ontario. I just wanted to chip in my little opinion about a boot that you said you never hear in Canadians. I have never heard it either until I started listening to your podcast, because Jordan, you say it. Whether you like it or not, it's true. You're the only person I've ever heard say a boot regularly and genuinely. So just wanted to let you sit on that. Love the show, guys. Keep going.
Oh, Eric, I've been thinking about this all day. I've been in the mirror saying about what he's talking about is that stereotypical way that Americans would say Canadians say a boot. And my belief is that is a riff on like the way a French Canadian would speak, like a Francophone speaking English. They would say kind of like a boot. I don't believe I do. I don't say about, I say a boat. Like ABOAT.
Right. Who are you trying to convince right now?
Eric hurt me, and I think it's not fair. I think it's wrong. A boat.
So do you want an apology from Eric?
No, I want you to tell me that I don't say it like that.
I'm not involved in this.
Just listen to this. Aaron, I've been thinking a lot about our Keep Canada Romantic segment, and it's about as good as it can be.
Listen, you can't use that as your example because
I'm trying too hard. Maybe
you're trying hard not to say it normal. What you have to do, actually, this is a perfect job for the intern.
Go back
and clip out you naturally saying about, and we'll find out exactly what it sounds like in its natural state. And we'll listen to samples on the show.
Just for listeners out there to know why I'm so I mean it. I think about this a lot, and this kind of stuff drives me nuts. You know how people, they hear their voice and they're like, oh, I hate hearing myself talk. All I do is hear myself talk because I podcast, I record this stuff. Then like tomorrow, the next day after I record, I'm editing. So I'm always listening to myself. It's utter torture. So I destroy my own brain by hearing myself mispronounce things, which I do often, because not only do I edit myself talking all the time and hear myself talking all the time, I'm a very pedestrian communicator. This idea that I say a boot, that's just, I can't take it.
Yeah, it's really, this is the most bothered I've ever seen you.
Mm-hmm.
This is the most anybody has ever gotten under your skin before. Because you usually hold your cards pretty close to your chest.
Not with this.
You're falling apart at the seams here, and it's quite a sight to see. And you're definitely at your most vulnerable right now.
Anyway, thanks a lot, Eric. I won't sleep tonight. But let's wrap this up, Aaron. We've done everything we had to do. We're trying to find someone for Stephen. We've kept Canada weird. We've probably destroyed Rona. What else can we do here tonight?
All we can do is wrap it up.
Handsome Aaron Airport. Until next time.
Jordan Backhoe, Bus Stop, Bonaparte. Until next time.
When you see an ad on TV, no matter what the ad is for, do a little mental exercise and try to think like, this ad is offending someone out there. Who is it? And what special interest group do they represent?
Yeah, and Jordan, until next time, donkeys are wonderful creatures. And I think having one that's in half is good because it's good for sharing. So you can have one half of the donkey, I can have the other half, and that way we don't fight over the donkey. And also, if you and I had one donkey, we wouldn't have to argue about who owned it because we simply would cut it in half. And then you have one half and I have the other half.
We got our quarter donkey.
Yeah.
Well, a quarter horse is a thing, right? Horses are better than donkeys. She lied. Media manipulation on behalf of the Canadian Donkey Sanctuary.
Yeah, there's more going on there with that donkey sanctuary. Where's the money coming from is what I want to know. Follow the money. Yeah.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I fulfill our mission to keep Canada weird. If you've got a news story from your area that you'd like to share with us, or have any thoughts or theories or opinions on anything we discussed tonight, we'd love to hear from you. You can contact us by using the voice recorder that can be found at nighttimepodcast.com/contact. And on that topic, I want to give a big thank you to this episode's correspondents. If your voice message was aired tonight, you can email me your address. My email is nighttimepodcast@gmail.com, and I'll get a Keep Canada Weird badge and swag pack sent out to you. I just ask that you wear the badge proudly and responsibly. Next, a big thanks goes out to Aaron for another great night, Nicole for the intro and outro voiceovers, and Monty Data for the outro version of O Canada. And then, of course, a sincere and massive thank you goes out to each and every one of you listening. Your support makes this show possible. And if you'd like to support the show even more, please consider a subscription to the premium feed, which can be found at nighttimepodcast.com/subscribe. The premium feed costs just a couple dollars a month, but that money will fund the creation of new episodes of the show, and it'll give you those episodes 2 days early, ad-free, and access to a back catalog of episodes. And even if you don't want to go premium, you can still support the show by sharing this episode on social media. That helps a lot too, and it's free. Your support is very much appreciated. So with all that said, until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and together, let's keep Canada weird.
Keep Canada Weird is written, hosted, and produced by the Nighttime Podcast.